soup. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Neverdaily podcast. I am half of your host, Sam. And
I am the other 3/4, because that's a fat joke.
ha, zing. When I first met my wife, as I have a tendency to do, as I'm wont to do, I prattled on about stupid ideas for products that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And one idea I had was, I was like, everybody carries around granola bars. But what if there's a healthier option, a salad bar? And she was like, that's a great idea. This was like when I first met her and I didn't even know her. I was like, salad bar. And she said, that's a great idea. I'll go into business with you on that idea. And I said, I'd like that. And she said, as long as you split the revenue with me 50-60. And I was like, deal.
We did it. Do you remember the what is it? Sweet Tomatoes restaurant? Did you ever have those?
I don't think we had them here. I think there was one in Utah.
Yeah, there's a bunch in Utah. And it was
Okay.
literally a all-you-could-eat salad bar. But they also had like little pizza stuff and soup and ice
Yeah.
cream. And yeah,
We had,
brought me back to my childhood.
yeah. We had one here called Super Salad, and it was SOUPER, Super Salad. It was like a Mormon magnet. I don't know why. I think I do know why. I think it's because large families were like, what? 7 people can eat for $29.99. Deal.
Sweet.
So
That's why there's a lot of Chuckaramas and Golden Corrals in Utah.
yeah.
There's lots of them.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff if you like subpar stuff.
If you like quantity over quality, that's your jam.
Yeah. For the post to announce the backdoor access today on Patreon to get everybody to come in, how we do it is, in case you're ever like, how do I get in to the backdoor? You join Patreon for $5 a month. And then we have a backdoor chat, which is, we have a couple chat rooms where people can just chat and share pictures of their pets and stuff. And I posted the post today with the link, and you click the link and then you get in the back door. It takes you to the back door. And today I said, if you mix up the letters, backdoor Neverdaily, it also gives you the phrases bravely rode ahead and a backyard lover den and a broken deadly rave.
And I am Lord Voldemort.
Nope, because there's no V.
Oh.
There is a V.
There is a V. We're halfway there.
There's no A.
Dang it.
Couple other great ones. Deadly overbank car. I like that one. Roar back, deadly vein. Navy-laced border. Barcode rivalry dean. This one I really like. Bravely adorned rack. It sounds like something you would also have at a broken deadly rave.
Yes.
So, a bunch of bravely adorned racks. I feel like this is almost a shirt I should make. Avocado nerd relay.
That's just every morning in San Francisco, people on their way to work.
Yeah. Raven-laced yard bow, just in case your boyfriend is out in the yard and he seems to attract ravens. And then you've got Bravo Ranger Lady Ed, which sounds like training for women.
She was the first ever Army Ranger.
Bravo Ranger Lady Ed. Those are fun. I like those. Can I share something from our friends
Our
that this
friend.
is true?
Yes.
Hold on. Gosh dang it. I hate it when it does this. Like for no good reason. I keep a tab with my Gmail accounts open all the time. So like my normal human Gmail
Mhm.
and then my 1159 one, and I monitor them separately. And every once in a while the tab will be like, "Are you still you? Is it? Are
Yeah.
you still you?" And it'll like make me log in again. Like it's never not been on this computer.
How about you just look at my IP address and tell me if it's still me or not?
Yeah. I've given it every bit of information. If there's one thing for being a giant super nerd, if there's one thing that I don't really care about much is I know all my information's on the internet. I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm trying to cloak my
Yeah.
visibility. I mean, people have even sent me my address before. They're like, hey.
Well, I kept getting all these random stuffs, and I literally just typed in on my Google, I just typed in my name, and about 2 seconds later, there's my phone number. And here's the thing. I'm sure their intentions were good. There's this website called Men Stopping Violence. Guess what? Your name's probably on there until you tell them to take it off, and your address and your phone number. And I'm just like, how is this stopping? Like, they're probably like, well, now people's attackers can see where they're at, or like the victims can see where their attackers are at. But I'm like, yeah, but also like, anyone can see where I'm at and go to my house and do whatever they want to me for any reason, because
So-
you posted my address online for the world to see.
They're doxing men because they want them to be part of the cause, or are they assuming that you're probably violent? What is their
They're just
angle?
assuming that every man is violent in the world, so they're doxing all of them. It's defunct now, but
Wow.
like you have to go in. Like, luckily their system for removing yourself is automated, and but yeah, like I typed in my name, like my dad's name came up too, my brother's name came up too, with their addresses, their phone numbers, and it's Men Stopping Violence, and it's like no one runs the site anymore because they went under, but the website's still up. Someone's still paying their freaking domain fees. So yeah, just go there and have your name taken off, because anyone can find where you live, and your
I
phone
think that's
number,
the
and your email
ultimate-
address.
That's the ultimate emotional dupe, I guess, that your brain could commit is I've never really understood it when and I know we got a lot of women listening, so brace yourselves. But I've never understood it when a woman is like, all men are such and such. And it's usually not like, I mean, it'd be okay if it was like all men are not great communicators. Like something, it's a terrible generalization, you know. But when they're like all men are abusive or all men are rapists, you know, it says so much more about you than like if all you've run into are those men, it's probably you. Also, I feel bad because I mean, I think there really is something behind the term daddy issues. I think I think it says a lot about the role of a male figure in the development of, in particular, females.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a part of our society that's run away from the idea that one of the most powerful things about the sexes is their individual contributions in the development of the sexes. You know, it's crazy. But I want to be understanding and I want to be compassionate, and that's why I wanted to remind everybody that you can only get to it through the Wayback Machine now. But there used to be a wildly popular website called Fat Chicks in Party Hats. Here's what's funny about it is that in the early 2000s, there were so many pictures that people were posting of people at parties that there was enough to fill not one super scroller page of what they've termed Fat Chicks in Party Hats.
Mm-hmm.
39 pages.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's what's crazy about it is these aren't just overweight people at parties. They all have party hats on. And this is not in the era of AI. This is like I'm going to go get the photos,
It's very much like people of Walmart.com, if you remember that website too.
Yeah, and it's mean. I get it. It's mean-spirited. At one point, Fat Chicks and Party Hats was
bookmarked on your computer?
Yeah, well, obviously, but it was also I guess they'd run aground as far as their ability to maintain the site, and it got taken over by some it became a porn site at one point.
Mm-hmm. Like everything does.
Yeah,
it's a natural progression of any website.
Well, it's crazy how the website the web works, where it's like I have 7.2 million followers on my website, but I don't want to do it anymore. Who should I sell it to? Yeah. And it's always porn, like Instagram. Has this ever happened to you? It's probably happened to other people.
You open up you're scrolling, and all of a sudden it's like porn, and you're like, when the hell did I follow this?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, is it's like, you can change the name on an Instagram account. You can do it sparing. Like, it won't let you do it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, like, I'll be scrolling and suddenly I'm following like Angela Sweetie Baby. And I'm like, no, what happened? And like, some like, I effing love science 2, Instagram account that I followed got sold. And now it's Angela Sweetie Babies. Oh, God.
And that's happening to like your kids' Instagram accounts are following too.
Sure. I mean, whatever they're following.
Yep.
Oh man, but
I think like I've almost wanted to, like, it's not going to do anything but just rage email them, be like, hey, how about before a page changes their name, you get a little alert. You get alerts for everything. Why can't you get an alert that just says, hey, this page changed its name to this, or this person changed? Like,
I'd love to
it's not that big of a deal.
I think that would be a responsible thing for Instagram, Facebook, for all the social medias to do. In my settings, have a tab or a section where it's like recently changed pages or channels or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you could go through and you could just see that it was I Love Science 2 to Angela Sweetie Baby. But
they won't do that because that hurts their bottom line. That's all they care about.
Yeah. R.I.P. Fat Chicks and Party Hats. Looks like it bit the dust in like 2013. But it was a powerhouse for a lot of years. It was something that, I really leaned on while I was an engineer at HP and bored to death for years. But man, I don't think the normal human spends enough time on the Wayback Machine. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Internet Archive. And the internet remembers everything. So, even websites where, it changed hands. When I was first working with Mike Boudet, he was like, come up with some shirts, come up with some designs. And so I thought I'd hit the Wayback Machine and look into like Mike's history, like the websites he's owned and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it was funny. He had kind of a fun facts kind of website at one point. It might have even been an OG, like a podcast that he had at one point, but it had this terrible logo. It was like this beach ball logo. And so I created a design, used just the name of the brand with the beach ball. And I sent it to him like, how about this? And he's like, where did you find that? Yeah. He
It's
was
like
also
a Shutterstock image or something like that.
Yeah. He also spent a short bit of time doing like tech reviews. It was kind of interesting. The things you learn if you jump on the Wayback Machine, you start looking people up.
Yeah.
Like, what were they doing before they were slogging it as a, accountant?
Probably something funny.
All right.
Wearing fat hats at parties.
Fat hats at party chicks. All right. I logged back into my Gmail. Here's a couple things from our friends at This Is True. Je ne sais quoi. We said that quite a few times in the last episode. The French National Postal Service, La Poste. There's an E at the end, so I feel like French people will try to make that into some kind of a guttural noise. La Poste. La Poste. La Poste. That's kind of interesting. A lot of the things that French people say also sound like you're about to throw up. La Poste. Anyway, La Poste released nearly 600,000 stamps celebrating the emblem of French gastronomy, the croissant. And these stamps aren't just ones that you lick. They smell like a butter croissant.
Mm-hmm.
And they're popular too. Don't get that sideways. I had a stock of 1,000 stamps available. And on the first day, more than 400 stamps were already gone, said Anthony Richet, director of the Valence Post Office. Good for international mail. They come with the souvenir print, and they cost two. I don't know how you say
French
that. If it's $2.10, but it's in euros, how do you say it? Is it 2.10 euros? Is that what how they would say it?
I don't know.
That's €1 more than the average cost of an actual croissant.
Ooh, what's that?
A croissant?
Yeah, what's that?
It's on the stamp. It smells like butter. A parliamentary researcher and a teacher were charged under the UK's Official Secrets Act with information gathering, quote, useful to an enemy. Then in a case involving Bulgarians, the Court of Appeal held that an enemy might be, quote, a current threat to the national security of the UK, not necessarily one actively at war with it, but, quote, friendly powers would fall outside this definition. The foreign power involved in the case of the researcher and the teacher was China. And at the time they were accused of spying, the UK government used terms like, quote, systemic competitor, not enemy, systemic competitor for the People's Republic of China. Prosecutors tried to get evidence in the form of government statements that China was an enemy within the meaning of the law, but, quote, it was realized that this evidence would not be forthcoming, top prosecutor Stephen Parkinson said, so the case was dropped. MP Alicia Kearns, for whom one of the defendants worked, accused Prime Minister Keir Starmer's team of trying to appease Beijing by helping the defendants get off. What?
What?
But Starmer said, quote,
You can't prosecute someone 2 years later in relation to a designation that wasn't in place at the time.
And you wouldn't want to be the kind of country that prosecutes or doesn't prosecute people based on what's politically convenient. I will go out on a limb here and say something very unpopular. Keir Starmer is a giant piece of garbage. Just giant. Giant piece of garbage. He had the gall on, he was sitting down with President Trump, and Trump said something about our First Amendment rights and everything. Keir Starmer interjected and was like,
we have freedom of speech, too.
And Trump leaned over, put his hand on him, no, you don't. No, you super don't.
He should have patted him just like, you dumb idiot.
You special child. No. No. If you can post something on Facebook and go to jail for it, and it's not inciting violence, that country has mishmashed so many of exactly what he's saying here. These designations, these what? Instead of an enemy, you call him a systemic competitor. That's how you dumb down. Giant piece of garbage.
Yeah, you can find all sorts of videos of people recording while they're being arrested for things they posted on Facebook or things they posted on Twitter, and it's literally just stuff like, I don't like this politician.
Yeah.
And they're getting arrested, or I don't agree with this new policy, and they're getting arrested.
Yeah. I mentioned it a while back, but Konstantin Kisin, who's a British guy, I think Russian born, but he had a statistic of the number of people in Russia that were jailed for
sedition or whatever.
They said, and it was 400, and then it was 10 times that amount in the UK.
Yeah.
In the same year. It's no.
And then he got arrested for saying that.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Constantine isn't Constantine. I don't know. It's TIN. I don't know how some of them avoid it. I know that there are some people over there that they'll get in the streets about. Boy, I've said it before. I mean, you may have your opinions on guns and stuff, but it's a short trip on history lane when a country takes your guns, your right to carry, to own, and then they start jailing citizens for. And here's the crazy
just straight up murdering them.
Well, here's the crazy thing: they're jailing people for their opinions on illegal immigration. So these people will say things about. Citizens are saying things about people that are in the country illegally, and they go to jail.
Yeah. It's true. It's true, DJ.
DJ's right. In America, if you have an opinion, everyone just calls you a Nazi. It's true. We've lost the real meaning of fascist, Nazi.
Well, I think part of it's by design. Certain political parties overuse terms to take the power out of them.
To deaden it. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's true. I'm really excited about this. People, this is new, kind of new. It's not new, but it's new to a lot of people. If you want to see where westernized countries are headed with the way things have been in the last several years, as far as new uprisings, protests, all that stuff, we have new visibility, new-ish. Several years ago, maybe 10, trying to remember how many years, 10 or 15 years ago, China was sucking wind. They needed international aid. They needed to improve their international relations. And it was determined. They were like, well, we'll help, but you got a bit of a problem, China, and that is that you and your historical records have been a black box
Mm-hmm.
pretty much since the dynasties. And they don't publicly disclose records, historical records, anything like that. And it's just been the way it's been in China for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where even like archaeologists, there are pyramids in China that the world doesn't know about because nothing that is documented or historically relevant in China is ever internationally distributed for
Mhm.
science, for anything. So China acquiesced and they opened the vault on a bunch of stuff. And one of the things, and it's still a fudgy mess, but one of the things that saw the light of day finally was a whole lot of information on Mao, Chairman Mao.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about the Nazis and 6 million Jews. We all talk about it like we're experts, right? And that it's the worst atrocity ever committed on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Look into Mao. Holy crap. Like we're talking 40 to 50 million of his own people were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like, oh, well, Chairman Mao, that sounds like some like old timey, like maybe it was like the 1400s or nope, 1850. The Great Leap Forward, as he calls it, was his plan to unify China under a very communist. It's a communist country, so this was his idea. Is like we're all going to work together.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1950s, it took him 6 years to kill 40 million people with it. And what's wild is if you start looking at the timeline of how he did it, just like anything, like you were just saying, the overuse of a word or the misuse of a word deadens its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just come out of the chutes and be like, hey, we're changing everything. The intention of what he was doing on surface seemed really great. It was like, hey, here's how it's going to work moving forward. Your village, you're making shovels. Okay. You're making shovels. Every village also did agriculture, right? So you're going to cut down your wheat when you make it or when you grow it. You're going to make shovels, and everything you cut down, all the wheat you cut down and all the shovels you make, the government will come and will pick it up. And then we distribute shovels to the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we take your wheat and we bring it to the main place, and we divvy it up, and based on the size and need of your village, we return your portion of wheat to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you grew yourself.
And so okay, so that's down the road. Like that's not even at the beginning of this idea of his Great Leap Forward. The way he got it effective, the way he affected this, because that's an imposition on a country, any way you look at it. For one guy to be like, I got an idea, this is how we're doing things now. You're not going to just drop that on a country and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just change everything and we'll start doing that. So prior to that, early on, he used the colleges and he incited radicalism within the colleges, within the universities in China. And they even were called useful idiots. Students were useful idiots. These, colleges are chock full of a bunch of people who have max, level 10 emotions, level 10 opinions, right? This is the way humans are.
And
we get
level
into
1
college.
life experience.
It's 0 life experience, right? So that's everything should be free. Everything should be a right? And so he radicalizes the colleges, the universities. He radicalizes them. So, and from that, he gets his own, people might remember like the brown shirts from Nazi era.
Mm-hmm.
He generates his own army of useful idiots. And then everything just starts playing out. Anyway, there's a guy named Frank Dicotter, Dikoter, Frank. And he's written a couple books based on the documentation he's been able to get a hold of, which we all could get a hold of, but he's put it together, and he has a couple books on Mao's China, Mao's revolution, Mao's Great Leap Forward. And when you start looking at it, when you start reading about it, you're like, oh, that was 2016. Where are we at right now? Made me actually, I'd love to do a podcast called Here and Mao, which is where we just kind of trace the history of when things started popping off in the U.S. and things started getting weird. I put the date at 2012. I put the date at 2012. There are a lot of things that started happening in 2012 where it was not a thing before 2012. Like terms in the media, right? So LGBTQ, just a massive hockey stick spike in 2012. And I would say the racial divisions and everything started around that time, really heated up in the Obama era. And, but the crazy thing is you can look at the timeline, because the interesting thing about Mao's China is it's a complete lookbook. It started in a certain way, and it ended so we can see the entire thing. If you've ever wondered, we've all been privy to, access to anything on Amazon where you're like, oh, this is cheap China stuff, right? Going back to that shovels example. So what ended up having, long story short, is you send all your stuff away for your village. You trust that the government's going to send you back your portion. Well, as it happens in communism, it's a great idea. Just add people. And so what would happen is all that would go back, and then the government and the higher ups would take more than their share. Those that felt like they had a right to it because they were higher in a hierarchy or whatever. And so at the beginning, the country was, because of the pilfering, what came back to the villages was the government basically saying, we divided it all up. This is all we have. And so what came back to you was less than your village needed. And do that enough, and then your farmer goes, I'm giving all this away. I can't feed my own family. So what they started doing was they started secreting away a portion of the wheat before they even sent it to the government.
Yeah.
And so they've got that happening. And the byproduct of the outcome of doing that is you have the government going, your yield is significantly lower than it's ever been. We suspect foul play. And they're killing people in the village. They're killing people that are the productive people in the village, though, not the sick ones. And so you start killing the productive people in the village. And remember, they're making shovels, right? So at the beginning, why would you do anything else except for make the best shovel you can? Well, over time, they were like, this isn't good for us, so let's figure out cheaper ways to produce. And so you had an entire country that was, you know how we talk about, like, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but Bayer, the company that makes aspirin, they were hot and heavy in the Nazi human research. They were like a huge component of it, right? And so if you're just looking at it objectively, you could say that was an atrocity that happened during the Nazi regime. We also learned more because for a window of time, science was allowed to test on humans, which is terrible, but we learned stuff. There's just, I don't know, on paper, there's no way around that. So what ended up happening with shovels and every other thing that they produced was they innovated to the point where they figured out how to make things cheaper and just a titch above, this'll fall apart.
Yeah.
And because that they couldn't survive any other way. So you had villages creating subpar product and giving it back to the government. And so it got to the point where money had almost no value.
Mhm.
And so you had people like there's a story of a man who is taking a wheelbarrow of cash because it had lost so much value. A wheelbarrow full of cash was almost worth nothing. And he was accosted and killed for the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
And the cash was just left behind. So one of the things that China retained after the Great Leap Forward, as it was called, was this innovation in manufacturing. And so they turned around and went into the 60s and started producing products. And they're like, well, we don't need to give it to the government anymore. Let's see if the world wants it. And so they started producing products cheaply made that the rest of the world couldn't compete with, because in order for another country to sit down and retool to create that meant that expansive number of innovative manufacturing methods, we'd have to like stop producing good stuff. We'd have to like figure out how to make cheaper stuff. And nobody at the time was even close to wanting to even consider doing that. If you made a screw in the US, it was the best screw you could make, So they're light years ahead of us on making crappy stuff. But then the we're like, whoa, this is so cheap. And then we're all the byproduct of consumption of a bunch of subpar products.
Mm-hmm.
So we get some good stuff out of it, but we also killed 40 million
Yeah.
people in the process. Yeah, there's your history lesson for today.
The more you know.
The more you know. Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Thanks from our friends over at This Is Us.
This is us.
This is all that's interesting.
This is something that's true, but I highly recommend it if you want to see because the thing about, and I know I'm prattling on, but the thing about socialism and communism is it doesn't work, but it doesn't work so effectively that they keep doing the same routine.
Mhm.
Anytime it's given an opportunity, it can't be done any other way except for everybody gets the same thing. And then a couple people start going, hey, we are more important. And so we get more of the same thing. It repeats history. So it's a beautiful map
Mhm.
of dysfunction. And Mao's processes for doing it are alive and well in Marxist and communist and socialist practices. You want to see where your country's going, UK, US, Canada, Australia, Tasmania. I'll throw Tasmania in there because, they're basically Australia. Portland, Australia.
Yes.
Just follow Mao's process and you'll see where your country's at. It's wild.
But they just didn't do it right. I can do it better than them's.
Yeah. Yep.
That's always the line. Nobody's done it the right way yet.
Well, and it's true. It's true because no one sets out. Well, maybe some people do, but no one sets out with a socialistic viewpoint thinking that you are going to be the recipient of you're going to be the winner in a system that's supposed to be about everybody. Watch Chernobyl, which is, I think, one of the greatest horror TV series ever. But watch the TV series. It's number one. It boxes up there right with Breaking Bad as far as its quality. But you see it down to the person level. Like you see the tension and the strife that a communistic country has when you're in the middle of it. You have to get in line. You have to do your part. And the crappiest thing about it is if you're not doing your part, the person right above you is going to tell on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So it becomes very quickly not this utopia. It becomes a dystopia where everybody is eating everybody.
You can also see it in the Tetris movie.
There's a Tetris movie?
Yeah, there's a movie about Tetris. It's the #1 selling game ever. And it's about how the American guy, because it was made and coded by a dude in Russia who had to do it secretly because he wasn't supposed to be making games because that wasn't his job. and even to do it in his spare time was against the law. And so, like, yeah, it's just this whole, it's basically about how this guy gets this dude and his family out of Russia, the guy who made Tetris.
Is it like a documentary kind
No,
of movie?
it's a movie. It's the, what's
So
his name?
It's a fiction.
Yeah, it's based on the actual what happened.
Okay. So yeah, it's a movie. It's a biographical.
A biographical movie, yeah.
Okay.
And it's the dude the kid from The Kingsman. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, yeah, I like that kid.
Yeah, he plays like the main character, but he plays the American guy.
Tetris movie. Oh, 2023. Oh my gosh. Wow. This looks great.
But it's actually, I liked it. Like, I didn't think I would like it, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. But yeah, it's literally called Tetris. But it's a biographical thriller based on true events around the race to license and patent the video game Tetris.
I want to watch that now. I'm really hot and heavy on this whole thing. I think what's doing it to me is watching Mamdani try to be mayor of New York and the amount of fawning that's happening from government officials, politicians to the people. And I'm like, wow, we really forgot to teach history.
Yeah.
In
Did we forget to teach
school.
history, or
No,
have
they
they
just
been
taught the
weeding that
history.
out?
They taught history. They taught it so we all hate our own country. Oh, by the way, that's a thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought I'd bring that little bit of sunlight. I didn't plan on that. I'll just.
That's how this show works. You never know what backdoor experience you're going to get. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's clean, and sometimes it's in between.
You know what? Also, just reflecting, like we might have lost a couple listeners, maybe permanently, by me saying some of that stuff. But isn't it interesting that like everything I was just saying and like beating up Mao and associating with our country and everything, those would be considered, do you think so? Would those be considered right-wing views?
I consider them factual.
Yeah, but like like if the media were to replay our podcast, which, you know, NBC, I think they learned their lesson. They're never coming back. But, you know, I feel like as I'm saying it, the back of my brain is like, stop talking. These are right-wing views.
I mean, in theory, yeah, but it's also the truth. But it's like, it's documented, like how many hundreds of times, and people still want to say, no, that's right-wing. It's like, no, that's just the truth. Like, read the book what happened.
Ian. Backdoor. Ian's leaving. I always, when somebody like Ian leaves the back door, I feel like it's worth saying bye publicly because he's all the way in New Zealand.
Yeah.
For some reason, it feels like he's leaving on a trip because he's so far away. The world is flat. It's cool that he can be here. It's also, I don't know what time it is there.
I don't know.
Tomorrow?
What time is it in New Zealand? It's
6 a.m. he
6:14
says.
a.m.
6 a.m. Oh man. Go to bed. Go back to sleep, Ian.
He's going to work. He's got a job.
Yeah.
I used to be at work at 5:30 every morning, and it was the worst.
Gross.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is I didn't even have to be. Just what I did.
You just did it?
Yeah, well, that's so I could go home at because we had it was manufacturing, and it was kind of like you could show up at any time between 4 and 11. But I was just like, if I get there at 5:30, I can leave at like 2 o'clock. Right?
Oh, I see. So it wasn't like.
Yeah, it was like you could, it wasn't like you had to be here from this time to this time. It was like, hey, as long as you're here sometime during the day, starting between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m., then you could leave whenever you had your hours. That was just, so it was like if I wanted to go do something that afternoon, at 2, I could show up earlier and take off. Or we also had it was super nice. If you wanted to, you could work 4 10s and basically take Friday off.
Oh, wow. So you didn't even need to necessarily be there every day. You could just, as long as
Yeah.
you're racking up the hours.
As long as you like told your manager like, hey, like I'm gonna be working Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm gonna be working 10s this week. Like unless there was something major going on, it's just like okay, like you could take Wednesday off without having to use vacation. So you could like save your vacation days for other things.
But this was manufacturing?
Mhm.
Like what kind of manufacturing do you get to, was it like, were you making like manufactured homes or like were you on a production line or something? Like how?
Yeah, it was kind of like not like a line, like it was batch work. We would
Oh, okay.
And so it was like like it only applied to people who had been there for like at least a year and a half because they were fully trained at that point.
Yeah.
And so they required like minimum, like since you're doing the same, maybe 80 processes,
Right.
like you know exactly what you're doing. And so it's like you could, come and go kind of as you please. As long as the work was getting done, that's all that really mattered.
Because they were looking for a yield like per week rather than like.
And
what
so it's
you
like,
needed
oh,
to-
we have an order of 35 antennas going out in 4 weeks. They just have to be done before then, right?
That's cool.
And so it was just like as long as everything's on schedule, it was just like, yeah, come and go as you please. Everyone knows how to do everything. So it's just like you just pick up the next batch of pieces and you do the next process, and then somebody else might come in and pick up. So like you're literally just building subcomponents, and then once all the subcomponents were done, then you would go into making assembling the subcomponents. And so it was almost just like, which part of the puzzle are we working on this today?
Huh.
So yeah, it was just super, super chill, like it was nice. They figured out that if they let people control their own schedule, they were happier for some reason.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
I ran into a guy every once in a while. Like I'm always fascinated by entrepreneurs and like the businesses that they built. And I'm always fascinated by someone who built something that needs very little retooling ever. And it just runs. When we had my 50th birthday party, the kids were out jumping on our trampoline, and the jump bed, which I found, I mean, that's the term for it, apparently, the black part you bounce on, right? It finally just tore asunder.
Yeah.
But we had it for 20 years. The jump bed part of it, we had for 20 years. We've gone through a handful of like the colored pads that go around it. But anyway, 20 years. And it finally gave up the ghost on my birthday. So the company that we bought it through is this company called AJ Landmark. And I think they sell pretty broadly, but they're right here near me in Boise. And I loved it. I called him and I was like, "Hey, I need to buy a new jump bed for the tramp." And he's like, "Okay, the dimensions?" And I gave him because on his website he knows everybody's going to call and they have no idea.
Yeah.
So he puts it on the website. So you go there and you say, so I'm like 14 foot. He's like, "How many springs?" I'm like, 100. Okay. Yep. That's $325. I don't have any in stock, but I'm making 6 right now because apparently there's been a spike in the demand.
Yeah.
And right there, I thought, like, that's crazy cool to build a product where he's picked up the phone. He picked up the phone from me 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was the same story.
Yeah.
And maybe some price adjustment just because of inflation and whatever. But I went to his shop and it's the same place that he's had forever. And the price board on the back of the wall is kind of like one of those that maybe your wife might have, or you might put in your house, the little blackboard where you stick the letters in. It's like live, laugh, love, His pricing was on there and it's all yellowed. It hadn't changed. Like the list was all the same. He goes in the back. His sewing, everything that he sews, everything's right there in the shop. He goes back, he grabs it, brings it out. And when I get home, I open it up and I unfold it. Inside, there's like a Xeroxed instructions. He's in the pictures of the instructions, but you can tell that he probably took those pictures in like the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing changed, but it's still just plugging along. I'm always fascinated by that because that guy won. You know, he figured out something. I wanted to say when I was in there buying it, I was like, yeah, this is the first time we've replaced that jump bed 20 years. He's like, oh yeah? Huh. And in my head, I'm like, that could be more of a conversation, you know, like, well, I make them to last, I take pride in my work. But my capitalist head was like, I wanted to say to him, like, you ever thought about making these a little cheaper? That way, I might be back here sooner.
Yeah, make me come back in 15 years instead of 20.
Yeah, but I mean, just the scale, like the number of trampolines he sold 20 years ago is returning a percentage of I just love that. I love it so much. I don't know why I love that so much.
Yep, and there's like the manufacturing facility. If you've ever flown in a plane, probably the plane was probably using something that I built.
Really?
Like, yeah, all over we're talking worldwide. Used to ship antennas to Australia, to Germany, to France, probably not in China or Russia.
Yeah, they make their own.
South Korea, any like Pacific Islands, anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Like, there's antennas I built just chilling at airports and across the country, marking mountains and tall structures and all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
I used to make sure my fingerprint was on the tape when I would ship stuff, just so a piece of me went to Germany.
Yeah.
This week, a piece of me went to Australia, a piece of me went to South Korea.
I've thought about that, like when I'm making shirts for flash sales and stuff, I'm like, part of me's on this, as I put it in a box.
You're pulling out a beard hair and just sprinkling it in the box, like Salt Bae. Just
little of my DNA, just in case someone wants to try to sue me.
Well, you tell people they're your beard hairs, but we know where they really come from.
I ordered bags of beard hair from China.
Yeah,
it's cheaper than pulling my own out. Cassie says skin cells. That's true. That's true. Am I weird to think? Like, I've always had this fear. It's such a bizarre fear. Like, but it seems like a totally credible possibility. I've always had this fear that, like, I'll hear my front door banging, and I go to the front door, and it's like a scared woman who's like, she's being chased, right? She's like, "Can I come in and use your phone?" or whatever, So I'm like, "Hey, yeah, come on in, come in." And she goes in, and she's crying, and she's a mess, and as it would probably happen, she'd be like, "Can I use your bathroom for a second?" Obviously, I'm going to say yeah. But you think about your bathroom for a second. Everything she would need
to
incriminate me in some crime I never committed is in my drain. Like, think about that for a second. You know what I mean? Like, not to get too graphic, but like she could pull she could pull DNA, she could pull stuff out of my drain and then leave thank you so much, and leave my house, go do a rape kit at a hospital, and I'm in jail. I don't know why I've always had that creepy thought in my head. Is that weird?
No. I've read a book where that's like one of the plot things.
Plot?
Someone steals hair from a brush, but they're able to prove that it was stolen later because they found like all his kids' hair was all mixed in too, and so it's just like the person who grabbed your hair during the struggle. Unless all your kids were there, or you have all your kids' hair in your hair,
we were all beating her up.
Yeah, so they're like, yeah, that's probably what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that there'd be some rigor in it. It's like, yes, his DNA was found, but also Suave shampoo particles were found, and beans, toenail was also found.
All in the victim's mouth.
Yeah. My daughter's toenail stuck in their tooth. Oh, man.
That's a real thing. My wife's pulled fingernails and toenails out of people's teeth when she's cleaning them.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Pube hairs.
I am so fastidious about, like, if I feel anything in the middle of my teeth, my tongue will go raw trying to get it out, and then I'll finally go get toothpick or, but have you ever seen those videos of people where, like, the back of their teeth are like a 1/4 inch of just plaque?
Calculus.
I'm like, does your tongue not do anything in your mouth except for, like, help you talk?
And here's a PSA. My wife can also tell when you have been giving out some oral love to men.
Oh, really?
It leaves mark. They actually teach her how to recognize that to prevent, like, child abuse stuff. That's a whole lesson she goes through in school. Is like, if you see those markings on little kids, you call the police right away. Because
Interesting.
she's like, what is it? She has to
see something, so they have to say something.
Like, she's one of those. What do they call them? Something. There's like
crime doula.
There's like a term for it. Like you have to tell if you see that kind of stuff legally, or else she can be held liable. Mandated reporter.
Mandatory reporter. Okay.
Yep. And so yeah, she can tell the signs for. So yeah, if you've been giving some loves to your boyfriends or your husbands, your dental hygienist knows about it.
Think about that for a second. Some politician gets his teeth cleaned. How's your wife? Oh, she's great. She's just she just supports me, and is handshakes, kids, and babies. She's right there by my side. Okay. And you're going through his mouth. You're like, okay.
How's your boyfriend,
Senator?
Or you just get very, very into popsicles. One of the two.
You can't say anything. Stuff.
Yeah, that's what my wife. She's like, yeah, there's been some people. She's just like, didn't know that about you.
Huh. Huh.
I don't think anyone knows that about you.
I don't think anybody. It's a way to. You finish the cleaning. You're like, that'll be $17,000. Excuse me? That'll be $17,000, Senator.
Yeah. Yay.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. I don't know who that is in the back door, because their name is just
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
Yeah, they can tell bulimics too, and
yeah, bulimics. They can probably tell a lot of things.
Smokers,
I'm sure,
like even smokers who don't like smell like vape. My wife can tell if you vape or not just by looking in your mouth.
Yeah,
like she doesn't have to smell. Like she could not smell anything and know you're a smoker.
Pony in the back door. The dental hygienist can tell immediately if you've been brushing or flossing. Oh yeah, or like the guilt floss that they're like, I gotta go to the dentist, so I better floss.
And they can tell that you just flossed before you went in and hadn't flossed for 6 months.
Yeah,
before that,
your gums look like downtown Beirut.
Yeah, and they're just swollen and puffy. Yeah, they can tell a lot that you think you're hiding. So don't lie. Just be honest. They hear, like, that's the thing. My wife's like, some people like lie because they're embarrassed. She's like, I've seen and heard some of the worst crap from people. She's like, that if you told me I only brush my teeth 3 times a week, she'd be like, okay, brush your teeth more. And it wouldn't be like any, like, because she's had people, it's like, I'm going to brush my teeth in 2.5 years. I'm going to brush my teeth in 6 years.
Yeah, there isn't a dentist jail. I was chuckling about that today while I was brushing my teeth, thinking about how the people that
it's not the teeth, Brooke. It's the soft tissues.
What? Pardon me, but what business do teeth have in a? Oh, yeah. It's not the teeth. It's the other parts in your mouth that
it's the soft
are
tissue.
the evidence.
There's
holders.
certain patterns and things that show up in your soft tissues.
Did you hear about the this won't age well, but right now at least it's partially aging well. Did you hear about the heist at the Louvre?
Yeah, my wife was reading that the other day to me. She's like, there was like some Napoleonic jewels were stolen.
Yeah,
the idiots
crown
actually
jewels.
dropped a crown on the ground on their way out. because they were in such a hurry.
It's funny. The expert criminologists, I don't know who they are. They didn't even say their names. It's just expert criminologists. Put the likelihood at recovery of the crown jewels, the French crown jewels, and other things that were stolen at 10%. Because they say one of two things will happen. They either immediately melted down and then sold for the parts. So like the jewels are sold and the gems are sold and the metal is sold. Or they are sold on the black market to some guy who's just a power grabber, and he'll pay a premium, and then it goes in his like secret collection that no one's ever going to see again. 10%. They've arrested 2 so far of the they think 4 that were part of it. Boy, those guys used some primitive means. They used like a lift to go to a first story window. They didn't even use a door. And then they used chainsaws. Like, I'm like, that's impressive. Like they just brute forced their way in. They weren't pulling a Ocean's 12 or anything. They were just like, we're going to break through the wall.
Like, it was literally just a smash and grab. Like,
yeah, it really was. And they left a crown behind.
Yeah. Some people's. I did see on a show the other day. It was on Patrol Live. There was like a robbery somewhere in the South, and it was literally 100 dudes rolled into a jewelry store at the same time.
Yeah, those
100
smash mobs.
Yeah, and they just broke everything, grabbed what they could, and all ran away.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
And you tell me I don't need a machine gun.
I have 2 dad jokes for you. How does a penguin build its house?
I don't even know this one.
It glues it together. It glues it together. A jumper cable walks into a bar. The bartender says, I'll serve you, but don't start anything.
But
I have a whole book of them. I'm going to read them
great.
to you over the course of time. Chase, what did you bring today?
Since it's still the month of Halloweens, I have brought some creepy stories. All of these involve the woods.
Ooh.
And so, we're talking about forests.
Not tiger.
No, not tiger woods. So here's the thing about forests. Did you know they cover 31% of the Earth's land surface?
What?
That's a lot of trees. People go hiking in them and stuff, and they look at the lakes and the mountains and the dirt and such. And some people even build cabins in them. They want to be in nature, which I get. But then there are people who go into the woods and something weird happens to them. So first one is the Deckmont Woods thing. That's what it's called.
This is like a monster or something?
This was an incident. We'll say that.
Okay.
So 1979, there's this guy named Robert Taylor. He's a forestry worker. He's out in the woods all the time. It's literally his job. He's checking gates and fences, making sure that the deers are making love to other deers in the woods, also making sure that teens aren't making love to other teens or deer in the woods.
Yeah.
So this takes place in the Deckmont Woods near Livingston, which is in Scotland, which is not in America. And so he's out doing his job, just monitoring, just looking around, making sure trees are treeing and grass is grassing. And he comes across a clearing. And in this clearing, there's this object, and it's just hovering in the clearing. It's 30 feet high, he said. It's kind of dome-shaped. And Robert's standing there looking at it and thinking, well, that's not a deer or a teenager. And so then 2 spheres detach, and they're like rolling towards him, and they have spikes on them, like literal spikes. And Robert, he starts to pass out of literal fear, probably because he thinks he's about to be probed by the spikes, like some of the teens and the deer that he's seen. But before he's completely passed out, he feels something grab both of his legs at the same time. And then he's gone, like he's out of it. 20 minutes later, approximately, he wakes up, the clearing is empty, but there's a smell like burning, like something was on fire, and there are deep, like, marks in the ground, and he's completely shaken up. He tries to drive home, but he crashes. But then he finally gets home, and he goes to the police, and the police go to the clearing, and he's there too. They meet him there, and his pants are ripped, like they're torn up, and hopefully not around his backside, if you know what I mean. And his legs are all scratched up. And Robert is 61 years old. He's a grown man, and he tells them that he was attacked by a spaceship. Now, the police believe something did happen to him. They see that he's like cut, his pants are ripped. They see that there's actual marks in the ground of the clearing, like fresh marks. And they find 32 holes in the ground, like the ground has been probed. There's a lot of probing going on in these woods. But the police are like, maybe they were like from caterpillar tracks. And we're talking about not the bugs caterpillars, but like the big machine a cat machine, like a backhoe. And so they check with the Forestry Service, and they look at all the equipment. It's like, oh, maybe they're like spiked tracks for traction. None of the tracks would match. But they all agree that something heavy, like several tons heavy, was on the ground and made those marks like that day. They can't explain what it was. All they know is that something hooked into Robert's pants and pulled them. And that's why his pants were ripped. And there was marks, and it smelled bad. So Robert was mentally stable. His wife confirmed like he had no history of mental anything. He was a war hero, went to church every Sunday until the day he died, and he never changed his story. Never
Really?
once did his story change. He was just stuck to it. Like, this is what happened. Like, and it's one of those things where it's like vague enough to be believable, because some people start getting overly specific.
Yeah.
And that's when it feels like it's like kind of made up, right? But he was just like, I don't know what really happened. I was passed out half the time. Like, I don't know what's going on here. So that's what happened to him in the woods. What do you think it was?
I don't know.
So it's
'cause
like
there's physical, there's like, that's something that's not very common. Like some of I remember I read a book in high school on like first encounters.
Mhm.
And the ones that bugged me the most, weren't really the ones that was like, I was probed. I was taken on a ship and I was probed. It was like the ones where it's like, I saw a humanoid in the woods and it beat the crap out of me. Or, it hurt me. Like those ones always creep me out because it's like,
Yeah.
why would it? And then it makes me think like of evil, like devilish type of things as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, because most things, unless it felt threatened, but usually if something that's that dominant feels threatened, they don't just like wound you enough to make sure you're not chasing them anymore. They like do you in. And so I've always been creeped out by those types. The Mothman's another one that gets me because there's physical involvement with, it's not just like some specter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just creepy. Did I ever tell you my dad grew up with the guy who's the Fire in the Sky guy, the movie?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and he
told
was
me
just
at
the
length about it.
biggest drug addict my dad's ever like in town. Weird how that worked out for him. Anyways,
yeah, that's crazy. Another thing that's fascinating, I think, about people like this, the guy with the spiked ball pants, is there's really nothing to gain by if they were to have concocted a tale. They're like, this is just gonna do bad for me socially.
Yeah, and if you think about like this hasn't been like you probably never heard that story before, right? I'm guarantee you most people haven't heard that story before because he's not out there like peddling it.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to sell a book about it. He's not like he wasn't trying to like tell everyone he knew about it. It was just like this weird thing happened to me, and then he went on with his life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like most people who fake it, they try to tell anyone and everyone who will listen, and they write books about it and movies and TV shows and all that stuff. So yeah, just kind of a creepy thing.
If you had a close encounter of the first kind, would you tell anybody?
I don't know. I might tell people who I trust, but I don't know if I'd just go out and tell everybody. Because it's like people would just think you're crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one. It's not like getting accosted by a human where you go to the cops and they're like, we'll get on it. You go tell the authorities, they're like, oh, where did you say it went? Went into the sky. Okay, well.
What do you want us to do about it?
soon as we get Space Force, as part of our team, we'll circle back on this nugget.
Yeah. All right, you ready for the next one? This one's not
but
alien-y.
yes.
So this is just called The Guy They Found in Cloakienog Forest. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
It's in Wales. So
Okay.
I'm butchering it. Not on purpose, though. So November 14th, 2015, two brothers, Andrew and Mark, their last name is Middle. Andrew and Mark Middle are camping in this Clackenog Forest, and I'm done with the probing jokes, by the way.
Okay.
So they're there for one of those car rallies where they're like ripping. Have you seen those? Where they're like all in Subarus and Hondas and they're ripping through the countryside. Yeah, and they're like taking people out, and there's always the dude with the map, and he's telling the driver like, all right, there's a turn in 30 feet, and you're going to want to hit it at this speed, and you're going to hit it at this angle.
Yeah. Those are crazy.
And so, yeah, they're ripping around at like 100 miles an hour on backcountry roads. So they're there to watch one of those, right? So they're camping, like, because they're just trying to save some money. It's probably not, I mean, a lot of these races are in, like, countrysides, too, so there's not, like, a lot of hotels and stuff to stay at. So they're camping to watch this event, and Mark, one of the brothers, is out looking for firewood, and he finds a human skull. And it's been there for a while. It's covered in moss, hidden in the undergrowth. So they call the police. Officers come out, and they find a whole skeleton out in the woods. It's a human male, and this is where it gets weird. They probed it. I'm just kidding. They didn't do that. The location is near where the serial killer, Peter Moore, there's been a lot of podcasts about Peter Moore. He murdered and buried a 28-year-old guy named Edward Carthy. So it's in the same area where like a serial killer had been operating and where he had buried another body. So they're like, oh, maybe it's connected. So they start looking into this. The skeleton belonged to a man in his 60s. They find clothing nearby, but they don't know if it's his or just stuff people lost or whatever. They do forensic tests. He had a broken nose. He had injuries to his wrist and spine, and his vertebrae were fused. He also had arthritis, like pretty bad arthritis, but he was also too decomposed to see if he'd been probed or not.
I thought you were done with probing.
Yeah, me too. Peter Moore, who was the serial killer, they went and were like, hey, did you kill this guy? And he was like, yeah, I did. He was a mature student who went to Aberystwyth University, and it was in 1996. So he basically said, yeah, that was me. But even with that confession, they still don't know who the guy was, because that's all he said is like, yeah, I killed a guy around that time who was about that age. And that's all he would say. So the body's never identified, and they never officially charged the dude with the murder because there's like no evidence of anything other than he just said, I did it.
Was he already incarcerated?
Oh yeah, he was a serial killer, so it's like he was in jail forever.
Peter Moore. Now, he wasn't the black dude that was kind of forgettable from a little while ago that they think might be the most prolific serial
think
killer?
so. No, Peter Moore's a white dude.
Yeah. Interesting. Never heard of Peter Moore. Here's a funny thing about me. I do true crime podcast, and we have true crime podcasts on 1159 and everything. I am not a great encyclopedia of knowledge.
Me either.
Of like, especially the bread and butter
Mhm.
serial killers and stuff. I'm not like, I've said it before, like somebody can tell me an entire story about it and I'll kind of forget it.
Once I do a case, give it about 2 weeks, and then I'm just like, who is that again? They did what? Okay. Which is a blessing and a curse when you do serial killers and stuff. So the next creepy wood story. This one's kind of creepy. This is like, kind of like Labyrinth. Like David Bowie Labyrinth kind of feeling stuff, but
fun.
creepier. So this was pretty recent, 2022. There's this Irish woman, and as Irish people are real, and she's walking into the woods close to her home in Maith, which looks like meth, and maybe she was on meth, because you'll hear later. But anyways, she's trying to get her steps in with her Fitbit. So she's got her Fitbit on, trying to get her 10,000 steps in. But before she goes into the woods, she touches two trees. One tree she said was warm, and the other one was wet and cold. And like already that's kind of weird. Like not the temperature of the trees, because we already know that is definitely weird. But the fact that she's just touching random trees without their consent, like that's kind of a weird. Like you're just going around
you
touching
may want to
trees.
ground, but you need to make sure that whatever you're touching to ground yourself not complies,
Accepts your touch.
accepts your touch.
And so she's on this path because she's trying to do her steps, and it branches. And she's like, I can go left or right. So she goes left, and very quickly the path ends in like waist-high weeds. There's no path anymore. And so she's like, okay, I guess I don't want to go this way. So she turns around, and she goes back and takes the right path, and it also ends very quickly. So it's like, what? There's a path that goes to nowhere? So she turns around and tries to go back, and now the main trail doesn't look familiar to her at all. And so she's lost. And it's getting overcast, and she just wants to leave. She pulls out her phone to use Google Maps, but there's no signal, because there's always no signal when you need it.
Right.
So she keeps walking and ends up in another overgrown area, and she thinks she's backtracing, but she's not. And then she hears a high-pitched woman's voice shouting, over here. Sorry. Over here! She hears that, yelling.
That's good.
And at first she doesn't think anything of it. Maybe it was someone who was like with someone else and they got separated. But then the woman who was yelling just starts laughing hysterically, and like in like a weird creepy movie way. Like, so she's like freaking out. So naturally she takes her shirt off, as you do.
What?
And she turns it inside out and puts her shirt back on. I don't know why she did that, but she did do that. And as soon as she does, she turns around and she knows where she is. And she walks right back to her car. And then she gets in her car. And she looks at her Fitbit and it says that she walked 10,000 steps in addition to the 8,000 steps she'd already accrued to that point. So she was like, I didn't take 10,000 steps. It wasn't that long. She's like, I wasn't in there long enough to take 10,000 steps. So some people told her afterward that touching those two trees let her enter into a portal. And others think she might have stepped into what's called a stray sod, which is an Irish folklore. And it's like a place of the other world that ends up on Earth. So if you step into it, like you could get lost in there forever.
Okay.
And so apparently, though, somehow she did her own magic. So if you're ever lost, remember, take your shirt off, turn it inside out, and then turn around. And then you'll be good.
That's a hard one.
So now do you know why I was like, maybe she was on meth at the time?
Yeah. In this case, I am surprised that she'd admit to some of that. Like, I'd admit some of the detail there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just a creepy little story of being lost in like an otherworldly place, and the paths all lead to nowhere, and just take your shirt off.
If it did happen,
mm-hmm.
and like we crossed the chasm of it didn't happen to it did happen, and I had to make sense of why she's saying what she said. Like in a case where somebody's like, no, it did happen, so now you just have to go off the facts off of her statement. I'd be like, okay, if I had to make that make sense, it would be because she was in shock, and she said, like, I could see someone doing that kind of behavior, being in shock, and then admitting to it whilst still in shock.
While still in shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you ready for the next one?
No.
Have you ever heard of the Black Forest?
Which one? The Ham?
Yes. And not the one in Germany where all the Grimm's tales come from. Apparently there's one in Colorado too. So it's an area full of ponderosa pines and cabin-style homes. And in 1991, Steve and Beth Lee buy their dream home there.
There's one in Tuskegee too.
They're just all over the place.
Wait, think about that for a second.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Ah, man. First with the fat chicks with party hats. I'm all over the place in Inappropriateville today.
We're going to get canceled. Anyways, they have all this weird stuff start happening in their new cabin house that they just bought. They hear music playing when there's no music's on. They hear chains rattling like they're in freaking a Dickens story. They see flashing lights. There's a bad smell that they can't get rid of. So they install this security system to try to capture some of these things other than smells, because security systems don't do smells. Well, the security system doesn't catch any of the flashing lights or the music or anything, or the chains rattling. So they contact the producers of a TV show called Sightings, of As You Do. And these ghost hunters come to the house, and the ghost hunters say there are multiple spirits haunting the place, so they can get paid, including this male spirit who insists the house belongs to him. And while they're filming, it appears like a crew member and Beth Lee get possessed at the same time.
No.
And it's caught on camera.
What?
And you can watch it on the internet.
No.
So Steve Lee, who wasn't possessed, he goes, hey, I don't think it's ghosts. He goes, it's the military. There's soldiers that are doing experiments on us.
Yeah.
So that's the whole story. I just thought it was funny because these people are obviously attention seekers. Do you think the military would actually do something like that?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
I do think they would do that just to test people's breaking points. But at the same time, it's I also feel like Steve and his wife are a little bit of attention seekers, trying to get their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the military and the CIA and everybody there's too many examples of them doing it and saying they didn't do it, and then we're like, nope, right here it shows you did it, and they're like, darn it,
dang it.
well,
what are you gonna do about it? And then they move on.
What are you gonna do about it? Now y'all have syphilis, so no, definitely, yeah.
So we'll do another one.
Okay.
If you're having fun. If not, we'll just stop it right now.
No.
So we're going to talk about Frightwood, because I can't read social cues. There's this English forest called Frithwood during the day and Frightwood at night. During the day, it's beautiful. After sunset, it's horrific. So, to be completely honest, this is just one of those generic ghost stories. But has the French in it, so that's why it's funny. The story goes back to the Napoleonic Wars. There is this place called Greenlaw House near the forest, and in the 19th century, they converted it into barracks to house French prisoners of war. According to the legend, a local woman falls in love with one of the imprisoned soldiers. I don't know why. He's French. Her father and brother didn't approve, as is customary, as he's French. So they took the prisoner into the woods, and they beat him to death. And he didn't even put up a fight, because he's French. The woman was so grief-stricken that she died, and supposedly, or she killed herself. The story says broken heart. Another one's she killed herself. Now her sobbing spirit runs through Frightwood, forever searching for her lost love, which is just sad because he's French. That's what makes it a sad story. Yeah. So that's what I brought today. Just some creepy stories, some stories that don't make sense, and some stories about people who just want attention.
Well, it was gripping while it lasted.
And hopefully I didn't probe too deep into the abnormal.
Oh, where's my drums? Where's my... No,
That's probably more apropos.
Yay! Yay!
That's a yay for those who enjoyed it. That's a yay. For those who are happy it's over, that's a yay.
Win, 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 win.
Win, win, win. Today,
what did you bring to us for our balls of ears?
Here's what I brought, and I brought something of the same ilk. And I thought, I'm always worried that things aren't going to age well, if we talk about too newsly of the newses and all that. But these are just good things to know. And I thought I'd bring them, and they're kind of Halloween related. I'm going to first tell you about, if you had to guess which country the majority, a bulk portion of our Halloween traditions come from, what country would you say?
I would say Germany, but I also think that it would be maybe Scotland or Ireland or something.
Ireland.
Oh,
Ireland.
yes.
and things, there's an amalgam. You're right. I mean, for some reason, old-timey Germany feels like Night Shyamalan's The Village, or that one, The Witch, and it was just like 2 V's, that movie, or any of that creepy, like, brooding dark forests. And I mean, the old-timey Germans were so expert at being like, how do we get our kids to obey? I know.
We'll tell them a new story about someone in the woods that eats their kneecaps if they don't pray.
Yeah.
And it'll work.
To be honest, I said Scotland or Ireland only because of, like, I think a lot of that stuff comes from, like, druids and stuff. Like
the
pagan,
Celts.
like, yeah, the Celts and the druids and pagans and that kind of stuff. That just seems more like Halloween kind of stuff. That's why I just want to explain myself.
No, you're right. You're right. So I'm going to tell you about the origins of the jack-o'-lantern first. And this is weird and creepy, and also weird and creepy, so you're going to like it. It starts with a guy named Stingy Jack.
I already like it.
On a chilly night in a quaint Irish village, I'm reading this, by the way, just in case anybody tries to get me for plagiarism. I'm reading this right off of a website called Saints and Scholars. I thought I could rewrite this or have AI do it, but then I was like, why not just give them some cred? Saints and Scholars, great place to be if you want to learn more history about stuff like this. Our friends at Saints and Scholars.
Our friends. Best friends.
On a chilly night in a quaint Irish village, a notorious drunkard named Stingy Jack resided. His infamy for trickery resonated through twisted alleys and dimly lit pubs, reaching far beyond the Emerald Hills. Even the devil heard whispers of his name. On one fateful night, the devil's burning curiosity drew him up from the dark, fiery depths of hell to engage with Jack. Being a wily rogue with a taste for mischief, Jack invited the devil for a pint at a local pub. They savored the bitter ale as the moon climbed higher in the night sky. But when the bill arrived, Stingy Jack, with a twinkle of deceit in his eyes, convinced the devil to morph into a shiny coin for the payment. However, instead of setting the bill, Jack pocketed the coin next to a silver cross, trapping the devil. After an agonizing stint in Jack's pocket, the devil was finally freed under the condition that he would leave Jack untouched for an entire year. I might have added more time. I might have added more time.
Like till death, maybe.
Yeah, with no other.
Beyond.
I'd go beyond that. Yeah, devil's got some reach, so. With no other choice, the devil begrudgingly agreed. As the seasons changed and the leaves turned, a year swiftly flew by, and the devil emerged from the shadows. Jack cleverly persuaded the devil to climb a gnarled old tree for a juicy crimson apple. Once he ascended, Jack swiftly etched a cross onto the rough bark, trapping the devil once more.
Devil's so stupid.
He did it. This time, with the voice trembling with rage and despair, the devil vowed to leave Jack untouched for 10 more years. Yet fate had other plans, and Jack found himself facing death soon after. Heaven denied Jack entry for his sinful, mischievous life, and hell, still bound by the devil's vow, reluctantly did the same. Yet, with a mocking gesture, the devil tossed Jack a single burning ember from the fiery pits to light his way through the eternal darkness. With a flicker of his cunning, Jack hollowed out an old turnip, placed the ember within, and began his endless roam on the earth, marking the inception of the jack-o'-lantern.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's created by a dead man.
Also, if you've never seen a turnip, they get big, can get big, and they're creepy. There's like human aspects to a turnip that's like because sometimes they have arms and legs. It's a root-based plant. And I've decided I might just start carving turnips instead of pumpkins.
Get more detailed.
Yeah, creepy. Creepy. All right, I got another one. How about, you ever heard of Sam Hain?
Maybe, but it's not ringing any bells.
So Sam Hain shows up on Hellboy at one point. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sam Hain and the connection with Sam Hain and Halloween. So, still on Saints, where am I at? Saints and Scholars.
Saints and Splinters.
This will be our avenue to share fun insights related to our pub and to Ireland, its history, whiskey, culture, and of course, its esteemed saints and scholars. As the leaves start to fall and the crisp, foggy air sweeps in, the Halloween spirit is embracing Snoqualmie, which is in Washington. So this week, we are kicking things off with a countdown to Halloween. This might actually, I don't know. Maybe this website is a bar. They've got some fun facts, though. So here we go. They're kicking off things with Countdown House. Okay, did you know this eerie holiday has its roots in Ireland? Yes, we do, because we already covered that. Beyond the playful scares and whimsical costumes of today's celebration lies a deep, mystical history tracing back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. Just in case you were like, there's too many letters and vowels in that, you can just shorten that to Samhain. That's the case with a lot of names in Ireland too. There's one that's like Soarsie, I think, and it's Sosha or Sersha or something. There's a whole like video you can watch of like how they spell names and then how you say them, and it's never the same.
Kind of like if you've ever heard of Mantua, Utah.
Yeah.
Mantua. Pronounced Mantua.
Mantua, not Mantua.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's journey back in time to see how Halloween evolved from Samhain to All Hallows Eve. So the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain signified the culmination of the harvest season and heralded the advent of a cold, dark winter, a time often enveloped in a shroud of death in many ancient cultures, serving as a midway beacon between the fall equinox and winter solstice. On the night of October 31st, the veil separating the living and the dead was believed to lift, enabling ancestral spirits to roam the mortal realm. To face this eerie night, the Celts lit towering bonfires and adorned themselves in animal skins to either blend in or scare away the wandering spirits and fairies, because wandering spirits and fairies must be idiots.
Yes.
Fools, I say. So these bonfires also morphed into communal havens. They radiated warmth and camaraderie as they huddled together and feasted, bracing for the chilly days ahead. Around these fires, they conducted various rituals and prayers, aiming to shield their community and livestock from the looming harshness of winter. Makes me think the villages in China should have done this against Mao.
Yeah.
Let's
moving
into the 8th century, Christianity was making its imprint on Celtic lands. Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, a special day to honor all saints and martyrs. Now, the evening before this revered day was traditionally filled with pagan rituals celebrating Samhain. They began to morph under the Christian influence, though. So this evening, known as All Hallows Eve, became a time of spiritual reverence and reflection, providing a Christian counterpoint to the wild, spirited celebrations of Samhain. So the transformation from the pagan celebration of Samhain to the Christian observance of All Hallows Eve didn't just bring about a new name. It introduced a tradition of honoring the deceased, a practice that carried over to the modern observance of All Souls' Day on November 2nd. This melding of old and new traditions laid the foundation for the Halloween that we celebrate today, a unique blend of ancient Celtic customs, Christian observance, and modern-day revelry. As centuries rolled by, the essence of Halloween continued to evolve, with each era adding its distinct touch to the celebrations. Today, in Ireland, the embers of ancient Samhain still flicker with bonfires and masquerade balls. Meanwhile, here in the U.S., the tradition has bloomed into a medley of trick-or-treating and haunted houses and vibrant costume parades. Despite the modern-day dazzle, the ancient spirit of Samhain echoes through the eerie glow of jack-o'-lanterns, the whimsical sight of children and their costumes, and the haunting tales shared on those ghostly nights. Okay, I got one more for you. This has to do more with trick-or-treating and the costumes, but so long before costume-clad children wandered the streets in search of sweet treats on Halloween, a tradition known as guising was a staple custom in Ireland and Scotland. Both children and adults would disguise themselves, like we were talking about, to ward off or blend in with the spirits believed to roam the earth during this time of year. Tracing back to the 16th century, guising has roots in the ancient festival of Samhain. So it's a tradition that's over, like I said, 2,000 years old. As this practice evolved, disguised individuals would venture door to door, looking to entertain their neighbors rather than merely startle them. When they appeared at a neighbor's doorstep, they would not only aim to amuse, but also entertain through verses, songs, or short performances. In appreciation for these lighthearted interactions, the guisers would receive homemade goods like fruits and coins and other offerings, fingernails stuck in teeth.
Yummy.
You know. Centuries rolled on, and the tradition of guising sailed across the Atlantic, and Irish and Scottish immigrants. By the early 20th century, communities in the United States began reviving the old world traditions of souling and guising. Souling involved people going from house to house collecting soul cakes in exchange for prayers for the deceased, commonly practiced on November 2nd's All Souls Day. However, by the 1920s, Halloween in America began to take on a more playful tone, with pranks becoming a common practice. This gave rise to the phrase trick or treat. And finally, when candy manufacturing began promoting their sweet treats for Halloween in the 50s, trick-or-treating skyrocketed in popularity. So again, once capitalism got a hold of it, they really turned it into something.
Like they do.
Yeah. So there you go. You got Stingy Jack, which is a pretty cool story, and has converted me from pumpkins to other root-based products that I'm now going to turn into creepy stuff. We got the Celtic roots, Samhain and All Souls Day and All Hallows Eve. And then you got trick-or-treating, which brought to you by Mattel.
Brought to you by Mattel and Haribo.
Haribo, yes, exactly. So there you go. That's some history for you. Have you ever heard of a music group called Cellophane?
No.
They mostly rap. What did baby corn say to mama corn? Where's popcorn? I'm gonna read you two more, and then we're
boiled alive in oil.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read you two more, and then we'll soup ourselves out of here. What has two butts and kills people?
I don't know.
An assassin. It's got two butts. Ass in. That also seems like another way we could say back door.
Yeah.
Ass in.
Assassin.
What do you call a dog that can do magic?
I have no idea.
A labracadabrador. Do you need two more? Do you need two more?
To cleanse the palate.
Okay. I don't know if these will cleanse it or just dirtify it more, but When the phone is ringing, Dad says, if it's for me, don't answer it. What? I thought about that. There's a comedian who says that whenever his cell phone rings, he announces, I'll get it.
I'll get it.
I like that. He also says that when somebody asks him anything benign, like, hey, do you want a milkshake? He says, no, thanks, I'm Christian. Like, he just says, no, thanks, I'm Christian to everything.
Yeah. There's the Dimitri Martin one. It's like, where he's like, I was at a store, and they said, if you need any help, my name's Tim. He goes, who are you if I don't need your help?
I love that one. Yeah. Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? They say he made a mint.
But
Okay, one more. I've officially run out of toilet paper, and I'm now using lettuce leaves to wipe my rear end. Judging by the way this year has gone, I fear this is just the tip of the iceberg. God, that's quality. Quality in this book.
And you brought it all the way back around to probing again.
Ah, look at that.
You did. Full
right.
circle moment.
Well, I was going to say that's all we've got, but I feel like we ran out of that's all we got like a little while ago. Oh. I have to go to the bathroom so bad, so we have to go.
Run.
Okay, soup, everybody.
PP, everybody.